Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald, Second Swing Golf, out here at the driving range at Braemar Golf Course with Jake Montgomery, the fitting manager at our Minneapolis store, with a head-to-head comparison of Titleist drivers. The last two, I guess, I don't know, lower spin or players, quote unquote, drivers from Titleist. I've got the GT3 in hand, you've got the TSR3. We've done a lot of testing already, Jake, on the GT lineup, and obviously you've played the TSR3 in the past, so you know all about these. What do you expect to see in this test? What do you know about the differences between the two?
Yes, I mean, this has been my gamer for the last 2 years. Probably the best driver I've ever had, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Does everything I ask of it. With the new model, they made a few changes there. Most visual one is they moved the weight track from the back to the front, which helps bring that center of gravity a little bit more forward, helps drop spin down a little bit. The big story with the GTs is the Thermoform crown. So they've taken a lot of weight out of the top of that driver and repositioned it both back and forward on the bottom of the driver to help lower spin and increase forgiveness. They've also added some new face graphics to help line it up a little bit differently, but that weight positioning is really the biggest difference, the biggest jump that they made this year. So I'm really excited to see how it reacts to spin rates, offline dispersion, misses across the face that aren't quite as centered. These both feature speed ring and VFT, so very, very fast out of the center, very forgiving on your mishits. So I'm really excited to see how the two perform against each other.
Yeah, the variable face thickness is very key for those mishits, right? And I will also add too that Titleist they made it a point to not change the look of the crown or sort of the address appearance too much, right? I know Titleist, players have loved that over the years with their Titleist drivers, so they obviously did not go away from that. It looks very similar, but we talked about some of the stuff that's changed internally. So now you may or may not have upgraded to GT. I don't want to spoil anything yet, but I guess in your testing, again, TSR versus GT, what kind of gains did you see, or what was the biggest thing you saw that made you maybe make the switch?
The biggest jump I saw was spin rate variation on a miss.
Okay.
So usually in this driver, if I hit one out of the heel, it jumps up like 28, almost 3,000 RPMs. My ideal launch and spin is 14 launch, 2,200 spin. When I missed the center of the face on the GT, it stayed a lot closer to my ideal numbers, which gave me a lot less variance on a miss.
Gotcha. That's the type of thing that it doesn't, it's pretty, I don't know, scientific, if you will, to hear, a fitter, explain things like that if you're maybe a more casual player, but that stuff really matters on the golf course.
100%.
If you miss it on the heel or the toe, that's going from dropping, say, 30, 40 yards to maybe just like 10, 15 yards.
Yeah. I mean, 3,000 spin compared to 2,000 spin, for some players, you're talking 50, 60 yards.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what the GT drivers have shown us so far in testing, and now we've got TSR3 versus GT3, the two kind of comparable models of the last two Titleist generations. Let's do some testing.
Let's do it.
All right, well, starting with the TSR3 here, that's a pretty darn good ball to start.
I'll take that start.
109 club speed, 161.5 ball speed, 148 on the smash. We got the launch at 12.4 on that one. Okay. How was the contact on that one?
It was pretty solid, maybe a little heel.
Little heel? Okay, that doesn't surprise me. You say little heel. 2,900 spin, that's why I asked. And you mentioned that right away. You said 2,800 to 3,000 sometimes if you hit it towards the heel.
Yep,
so
100%. That was the opposite. That was the toe.
That was a toe. It looks like a toe shot, kind of a low little diver almost.
And there goes all the spin.
Yeah, 1,500 on the spin that time. 108.9 on the club speed though. Your ball speed was actually was even better. So.
And that's what I love about this is spin may change, but the ball speed always stays pretty good. Like it just goes.
Yeah, carry 273 there still out for that toe ball.
That one I caught pretty good. I just pushed it.
Just a little open face maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely caught it pretty solid there. 164 on the ball speed. 2666 spin. Yeah. Very good. And yeah, that's kind of the tendency, right? If you do leave the face a little bit open, still a little bit more spin than maybe you'd like, but you hit it really good with that smash at 148 there again.
I do want to note for the audience, this is a 10 degree. I have playing at 10.75.
Okay.
The reason for that is higher loft helps me avoid like my left miss really falling out of the air.
Okay.
So I'm okay with a little bit more spin sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you hit it plenty far, so it's not like you're
No, I'm not too worried
lacking
about the total
distance.
That one I hit pretty good.
That's the one right there, isn't it?
That's the exact draw that I want to see there.
Yep. Yeah, that's the best one so far.
Yep.
2400 spin, or 2443 to be exact. 278 on the carry. That one did total over 300 at 303. Yep. And you said you like your launch at what, 14?
Around 14.
Is that deal? That was 13.6. So
Perfect.
that's the tee shot you're looking for.
Yep, 100%.
We got one more here at TSR. I'm going to be curious to see now, because we've had, you know, I'd say for sure one miss that you notably felt was not quite right. I'm curious to see how the GT then stacks up. Yeah, a little bit lower launching on that as well.
Face got a little closed.
It did, but you know, you're still out there at 2200 spin, total of 284. Yeah, but your launch was down at 7.8 that time.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
obviously you just
really
kind of shut things down a little bit. Let's see if I can get some averages here. So in terms of the averages, carry was 269 all said and done, total at 294. The spin rate, this will be the big one that we'll focus on, I'm sure, was 2352. Ball speed at 163. Club speed 109.7. So very efficient, right? I mean, that gives you smash factor of 1.48. And then also we should note the average, I guess, apex height was 94 feet. So you had a couple low ones, a couple high ones. And then your average launch was 11. You know, you had a couple that, especially that low one, brought it down a little bit, obviously. But yeah, I mean, what else comes to your mind, or what other thoughts do you have on those shots with the TSR?
I mean, this performed pretty much how I see it outside. Like, tee shots can get a little weary for me sometimes, especially with them going left.
Yeah.
That's why I play this setting, because even that one where I really shut the face, it still had enough launch to keep it in the air, get out there a ways. This driver's been super reliable for me. I feel very confident with it off the tee. If I want to hit a draw, if I want to hit a cut, I know that I can. I'm really excited to see how the GT numbers compare to this. This is a test I've been looking forward to doing outside for a long time.
Well, let's do it then. Let's get the GT. Oh, wow.
That got high. That was extremely heely.
Was it?
And that was 2800 spin. So
yeah, because well, the heel shot you had with the TSR3 was 29.
Yeah, and that was way more on the heel.
Yeah,
like
it definitely. Well, I'm looking at the smash factor at 142, right? So that kind of tells the story. It was clearly not hit that great.
No.
So talk to me about the look. Is it size-wise? Is it much different from TSR3?
As far as shape goes, it's pretty much exactly the same. I mean, I love that they did not change the shape, because that's what draws a lot of people to this driver, is the way that it looks. When I first tested this, before they told us anything about the materials it was made out of, I could not tell the top was composite. So they did a very, very good job of hiding that. It looks like a traditional Titleist driver. Yeah. You wouldn't notice anything until you look at the bottom, where you can see kind of the inlets of where that thermoform kind of comes in.
Right.
I definitely noticed the new alignment on the face of the driver. It looks like a lot more loft at address, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. More loft generally inspires more confidence in people.
Yeah.
So this is playing at the same effect of 10.75 degrees of loft. You can just see a it more of it.
Yeah, it just kind of looks like a lot. I actually made that comment when I was testing it on our YouTube live stream the other day. Was you can sort of it catches your eye more.
Yeah.
The club face does
for sure
with that design. But you know, that obviously is a helpful thing. Loft is your friend, as many of the fitters here say. So.
Absolutely. How far off target did that get?
Quite a ways. 48 yards right.
Yeah.
According to this. Oh, yeah.
That felt pretty good.
Oh, yeah, that one was really good. Yeah, 277 carry, 2300 spin, 150 on the smash. It's pretty darn good right there.
Yeah, I'll take that. That ball shouldn't have much spin on it.
Yeah, that's another good one. You were saying, okay, this is starting to become a pretty solid comparison after we got one more swing here, but because it's basically you have sort of, with each club, you really have one swing that's out to the right, and then the other ones are kind of close together there. And then also of note, the heel ball that you have with the TSR3 is like kind of its own little spot down here.
Yeah.
Versus where the GT3 heel ball was, that was actually performed a lot better. So, one more swing here though, and we'll get some averages.
All right. Okay.
You hit that hard.
Typical left miss. Yeah, I caught it pretty well.
All All right, so 5 swings that we have now with each of the GT3 and the TSR3. You know, without seeing the numbers, I guess what do you think, I guess, is the takeaway here? What takeaways do you have just based on, you know, we have like 4 numbers here on the full swing that you've been able to see on the swing. So what do you think is happening here?
I would say the biggest thing I saw was less variance on spin. Like my left one dropped down to, I think, like 1800 with the TSR. With this, it stayed right at around 22, 23. I missed it right. It didn't spin quite as much. I think that I probably had a couple better drives with the TSR. I mean, part of that's I've been using it for 2 years. I'm really used to it. But I think that this gave me a better variation on my misses, a little bit more consistent. My left misses definitely had more time in the air, which helps them get more carry.
Sure.
Which I really care about the most. I mean, I can hit a left miss that's going to roll out forever, but if it lands in the trees because it didn't carry very far, it's not going to do me any good.
Yeah, so I'm going to note here, I'm going to first bring up smash factor on each shot, because with the TSR3, you were 148 or 149 with every swing. Yeah. So you were hitting that one pretty near the center of the face. I know that was, I think your first swing was 148, and you said you felt it towards the heel. Yeah. And the spin was kind of a fluctuator there. But the GT3, your first 2 swings were both 1.42. Yeah. So clearly didn't quite hit them perfectly, which typically results in spin variance, right? But now I'm going to go to the spin rate, and we're going to see the spin rate was a little bit higher average with the GT3, which is, I know your concern more was the consistency, right?
For sure.
Consistency on the GT3, going through the numbers, 2800, 2586, 2343, 2569, 2385. So bouncing around between 23 and 2500, with the exception of that first swing that was on the heel, right? Now, if we go to the TSR, all over the place compared to the GT3. You went from 2900 in your first swing to 1500 on your second swing, then 26, 24, 22. So a lot more variance there with the TSR3, and that was one thing you said right away is what made you switch. Yep. If I were to look at the other items here too, I mentioned you hit the TSR3 way better, and just finding the center of the club face, carry distance was the same. Yeah. Both clubs at 269 average. Total, you did lose about 6 yards with the GT3. Again, on a longer or larger sample size, we probably gain a little bit there based on hitting the ball a little bit more consistently. Well, today you hit it more consistently with TSR3. Same consistency level there, probably more distance with the GT3. Any other numbers that you'd want to look at here?
How was the peak height variance?
Peak height, yeah. So GT3 was a lot higher at 109. The variance, though, your last shot was a little bit lower left, but everything else was 120 or 121, 121, 113, 123. Yeah. So those first 4 swings were flying relatively similar across the board. TSR3 was a little bit more. It was 112, then 93, then 82, then 119, then 64. Yeah. So it seems like the consistency factor is what you're looking for, and what really the GT delivered, at least in this test.
Yeah, I mean that's at the end of the day what I am looking for. Yeah. When I was using the TSR3 and I was hitting it perfectly, I was wondering, I don't know how they can make a driver better than this, because I've been in the bay and I'm hitting good. It's like 1.5, 14, 2200. You can't really get much more efficient than that in terms of launch conditions. But what they did is just made it way easier to hit across the face. You don't have to hit this thing perfect to get a pretty good result.
Right. That's clearly what I'm seeing today here. I mean, dispersion is pretty similar, right? Because you have kind of a right miss and a left miss with sort of each, and then kind of 3 with each that are sort of right down the middle, really good tee shots. Yep. But the spin rates and consistency of the GT3, I think, are, especially on those misses that were clearly much bigger misses than you had with the TSR, to see those perform just as well is a really good sign for golfers that are interested in GT. So that's kind of a good way to wrap then, I think. Yeah. So golfers interested in GT drivers, we got the GT3 today specifically, but you're going to get better consistency on your miss hits. That's the message from Jake today. So schedule that fitting with one of our master fitters in many of our stores, or a consultation online with one of our experts for a Titleist GT driver, and you'll be hitting better tee shots. So Jake, thanks for the time today and hitting the shots. Pretty good one here.
Absolutely.